The Israelites move on. They slake their thirst, water their animals, restock their supplies, fuel up, and grab some snackies for the road at the local convenient mart. Then the Lord leads them away, and in the matter of an hour or two they are gone. Nothing left but footprints and a few reminders that livestock were here. Within a few minutes after they are gone from sight, the noise also fades. All is quiet again. I am alone. Mostly, I like it that way. I tend to be an introvert and thrive on being alone and quiet, and it is quiet here. No human sounds whatsoever. I hear the wind as it rises and dies. A locust's occasional buzz in the nearby scruffy tree, like a telephone ring that I cannot turn off, is alternately comforting and irritating to me. The occasional passing lizard or insect. Otherwise, it is unbroken, almost eerie stillness. Despite the stillness around me, there is still a constant chatter inside my head. I haven't stopped talking to myself since I came to this wilderness, and I can't seem to turn off the voice. At least I'm not talking out loud. Am I? Inside, I'm holding an incessant one-way conversation, a monologue to an audience of one. Sometimes it's music and a song gets stuck in my head. Sometimes it is a little phrase that comes to mind and it plays over and over inside. But mostly it's me talking to myself. I'd like to think I'm talking to God, but the truth is, this is mostly self-talk that I'm doing. I've been filling my life with noise for years, actually. There are so many options available to me that I hardly am aware of how much I provide my own script and soundtrack for my life. I start the car and my hand automatically goes to turn on the radio. I exercise and want to bring a book with me. In the evening after the kids go to bed, I want to watch a movie and veg out. But here, in the stillness, the background music has moved to the foreground. My friend Willard always specifically ordered cars that had no radio. It's not that he is cheap. He says the driving time is a great time to pray, and he doesn't want the temptation to fill his traveling prayer room with noise. So why am I not praying well now, without any outside distractions? I have no radio. I guess I don't know what to do with silence. I know many folks who use a television as a source of noise machine. Walk in the door, turn it on, it plays all evening long. They aren't particularly watching it. They might even be in a different room, but otherwise the house seems somehow empty and frightening. Is it that? Are we all afraid of silence? Or afraid of being alone? Now, I'll admit that part of the problem is that I'm easily distracted, so for me there's no such thing as background noise. I can't read while music is playing. I can't hold a conversation with the TV going. Even so, I think my addiction to noise is spiritually dangerous. I want God to speak. I want Him to use a microphone and broadcast His personal message to me as I tune in to my personal God radio station. And I want no dead air time, constant downloading of His information into my very personal computer. There are times, however, when God refuses to speak in the fire, the earthquake, and the wind. Maybe He speaks in a still, small voice, so still, so small, that I must cease all activity to stop and listen. I try again to turn off my own background noise and let Him speak. I'm concluding that there are other times when God simply does not speak at all. He simply is. That is His name, I am. The always being one, not the always speaking one. Today, in the silence, I hear His call. Come to the quiet. Be still, my soul. Like a weaned child rests on his mother, my soul is like a weaned child within me. Not long ago, I attended a revival meeting. Thousands of people from all over the world were there, all wanting to hear from God. We stood, shouting, singing, raising hands, dancing, all in a noisy and manipulative fashion to call forth the presence of God. The preacher shouts, and we all yell in reply, "Break out! Break out! Break out!" Something makes me uncomfortable about this loud, manipulative crowd dynamic. Is this how Jesus ministered? Did the Apostle Paul have Barnabas work up a crowd for 2 hours with loud music before he would preach? Did the day of Pentecost begin with the group singing at the top of their lungs, pleading with God to show up, and then in a self-conscious fashion talk about his presence for another hour? Peter stands in their midst and says, "I feel his presence here this morning. Woo, glory. Ooh, don't you feel his presence here right now?" And the 119 yell, "Yes." "Oh, we going to have a Holy Ghost meeting today. Yes." Now, maybe it's my quiet nature, but I don't think this is what Pentecost sounded like. No need to talk about it or try to work it up when the real thing is already here. If he is. God speaks when he speaks, the way he chooses to speak, in the language and at the volume he chooses. And sometimes God doesn't speak at all. It's not up to me to tell him what to say. And so I sit and listen to nothing. And maybe that's okay. Because I make my living as a worship leader and a musician, I'm aware of my temptation to fill the silence with something that mimics the genuine voice of God. After all, every Sunday is measured by whether or not God showed up in the 75 minutes that we allot for him. I think that if I turn off the background music and stop guiding the Spirit by my personal scripted soundtrack, I will find that I can enjoy the cricket, the sound of the breeze, and the calming, sometimes convicting voice of God. And out of my letting him speak without putting words into his mouth, he will say what he wants to say rather than what I am wanting to hear. I will rest in the quiet. Be still and know that he is God.